ICP price action. We are going crazy. Then we pull back a little bit, and then I think we're going to run straight to 20. What are you thinking?
Hey, yeah. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was a little bit late. Yeah, very exciting day. Obviously, a lot of excitement around Peter, which obviously a lot of us here are super thrilled about. So, I think we hit a high of like $15 and like 9 cents or something like that, somewhere in that area. And, it's kind of natural to see price kind of fluctuate a little bit. People want to take profits because ICP in general over the last couple of years has been, sub $10, in most cases under five. So it's just kind of natural for some people to kind of take some profits because, some people are still on the fence if we're really in like a full blown bull market, right? Obviously, price is
Right.
up. And that's just good to see in general, like a lot more excitement around the internet computer, which gets a lot more attention for the projects. I see we have Candace and Rob here, so I'm sure they're seeing a lot more growth, more influencers and stuff kind of popping up into the space, and the OGs starting to get their recognition that they've been deserving over the last couple of years, of hard work.
So what qualifies as an OG swap? Are we talking like 2 years? What is the time limit?
I mean, I think, that's tough to say, right? There's people that have been here since Genesis. There's because like I was around here around Genesis, but I more so traded the coin. I got more so in depth with the ecosystem of like around like October of 2021, and really started to dive in a lot more in January of 2022. So, I mean, I would say that in itself is probably classified as an OG, but like, being around through the bear market where everyone's like really challenging you on your conviction of are you really, going to see ICP ever go back up? Like, I think just that mental drain that a lot of the ecosystem had to face of the bad narrative and stuff kind of classifies people as OGs. We're on a 20-year roadmap, so I think within the first 2-3 years is pretty deserving of an OG. Especially if you've been like pretty core and following along actively.
Yeah, totally. I'm on other involved in other ecosystems, a few others, and again, right? It's all about green candles. You see who's the tourist, you see who's the OG. People like disappear when there's a bear market, and then they come back like, oh, hi, did I miss anything? And it's like, well, you're not really an OG, you're just a tourist. But yeah, I guess as long as people didn't sell their bags and come back in the ecosystem, I think we can still count them as OGs. Although, I always give kudos and priority and props to people like yourself that just keep grinding and people like Candace that just keep grinding no matter the price because they believe in the community, because they believe in the technology, and they believe in the promise of full decentralization, which ICP not only promises but it realizes more and more every month. So I want to get to Canvas. I want to just before I do that, um, today I found up today today I found a beat up, almost unplayable guitar here at my parents' house. The strings needed to be changed like 20 years ago. It cuts deep grooves into my fingers when I play, but I was able to squeak out a little jingle. I'm gonna annoy you here. Here we go. It's like 20 seconds. It's called ICP Rally, and then we'll kick it over to Candace. Candace, give me a second. Okay, here we go. Let's see if the volume's working. ICP Rally. Can you get me to 19? ICP Rally. Please be good to me. Yeah. Wow, it needs a little bit of auto tune on the end of that, but the lyrics are ICP Rally. Can you get me to 19? ICP Rally. Please be good to me. And I think once we do break through 15, we're going to run straight to 19 and hit 20. So enough of that. Let's get to our distinguished featured guest today. Kenneth, I always love it when you come onto my space. And now you're coming on today and you got something amazing to talk about. Like, it's just like, okay, so we've talked in the past about your journey into Web3 and about you going to Zurich and meeting Dom and all that. Tell us what's going on with this Walmart deal. This is like silly good.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Well, for having me. I'm glad to be here. Hello, everybody. Yeah. So I um, I love ICP. I love our community. I love what Dom's doing and how we all kind of band together, in these rough times. And I'm always trying to reinvent myself or be an innovator in the best way that I know possible, in the arts and whatever else I'm involved in. And I wanted to figure out a way, again, about teaching people about Web3 that are in Web2 community. What's the best, most simple, simplistic way to do that? Well, it's to infiltrate the market through fashion and through in my, I guess, the way I see it, the way I view it. And I just reached out to Walmart, and I've been working with them for the last 3 weeks of onboarding me and getting everything set up. I actually did a test. I'm doing a test run with mugs and coffee cups. It's kind of how I started to evolve Heirloom Wild. Although Heirloom Wild is, I've been working on it for 5 years. And this was kind of like a little sweet, simple way to introduce Heirloom Wild to everyone. And so far, it's looking pretty good. Now, with Walmart, I don't want to talk too, okay, here's the thing. I will kind of spill a little tea, but I don't want to tell too much about what I'm doing because I don't want, I mean, hey, you're going to have haters, just like that one
Yeah.
dude that
I,
said
I,
that shit
I
about
was
us.
I was worried about like, we don't want you to give any trade secrets away, just, maybe high level. And I'm just curious to know, like, if this was something that was in the works for years and years. Like, there's no overnight successes, but like, how hard is it for like other artists that might be listening in to get on the Walmart food chain? I'm very curious about that.
Sure. Well, there are actually several ways. One of the ways is through Range Me, where it's a platform where people that have a storefront that are serious about getting into retailers like Target and Norman. What did I say was Norman's? I mean, Nordstrom's. They can get on there, but that's one way. The other is just to reach out and to apply and just to see if someone, if they like, because they have to vet your business. I'm in good standing and have a high number, DUNS number, so I've got a good reputation. Heirloom Wild does. So, there are a lot of key factors. Are you right standing with the government? Are you right standing? Do you have any outstanding debts or whatever it is? And they just kind of, is your product viable? Is it sellable? Will people react to it? Will they like it? And so that's kind of like, if you're serious about your work getting out into marketplaces and in the United States and around the world, then that should be your focus. But to focus on just a couple of things at a time. Now, me, I don't focus on a couple of things at a time. Rob will tell you. He has to kind of pull me back. He's like, babe, do this, do that. And, it's a good help. But having a game plan, I would say telling people to know what you want to sell, know what your brand is, know who you are and who you're selling to. So that's kind of the advice I'd have to say there.
No,
The age.
that's great advice, right? Like, know who you're selling to. You don't want to bring a product to market that has no market, right? So understanding the target market, understanding the product market fit, which we see a lot in Web3, that a lot of projects don't even understand their product market fit because there is none. So
Yeah.
no, that's really great. Also, I'm glad I'm not the only one tripping over my words today. I don't know. I just have a little bit of impediment. But no, like what you said also about Rob pulling you back. I mean, look, you're an artist. I'm an artist too. Like, we can't just do one thing, right? There's that weird, like, I don't want to call it ADD, but what people don't understand when they ask, how long does it take you to do a work canvas? How long does it take you to do a painting? Well, it's like, well, it could be 5 years because the paint's got to
Yeah.
dry, or like, you have an idea, like you do it, but it's not really finished because you're going to come back to it and start something else. You know what I mean? Like you understand the creative process, and it's like that with writing, with music, with art, but a lot of people don't. So, point well taken. And isn't it funny that, like, and I'm noticing this with ICP community right now, is that we talked about, I think last space and a couple of spaces ago, Swap and I talked about there was a lot of FUD out there in the ecosystem, and a lot of that's went away because people know that ICP is not a rug pull. People know that it's a viable project. So the FUDders have kind of disappeared, and they've taken place. Like the haters have taken their place. So these trolls have crawled out of their hobbit holes. So this is a really good leading indicator of
Yes.
how we're coming into the bear market. The FUDders go away and the haters come out. And then when there's a bear market, it's like the opposite, right? So
Yeah.
I got my own little private troll, maybe a couple this week. So, I thought that was interesting, but they had mentioned about your project on ICP. So, um, uh, last time we talked, I think things were not as far along as they are now. How about your NFTs on ICP right now?
Well, so Revelation Wall. See, that's again another good point, and that's why it's one of the beautiful things of the relationship that I have with Technologic, is that he's so good about reminding me and focusing me, and I'm so bad about sometimes not listening. And then after I go through some painful moments, I'm like, oh, I should have listened, and in some instances. But right now, Revelation Walls is kind of like this budding project. Although I created that collection a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, it's still evolving into other things. The whole premise or precipice of that is that it's dreams come true. Whatever you envision and you put out in the atmosphere, you put out in the universe, will bud into something more beautiful and tangible. And I just kind of shift my focuses on different projects within the IC community, because a lot of it's related. I'm going to bring up meta realities and how that is a really big project. Now, he was talking about, oh, I was selling people shit coins and I was voting people. I'm like, I haven't tokenized anything. And Rob, he made this beautiful statement. It was beautiful to me, but it was like so hard hitting. Like, don't you talk about my woman? You say this, give good people's name out your mouth. You heard what he said. I loved it. It's true. Is that when we have good things that we're doing, we're going to bring out people that are not going to like it. So with meta realities and with all the other collections I'm working on, they are related. So I will tell you, when I didn't finish the question that you had for me about Walmart, just quickly. I do have a collection. It's pretty dope. That is all ICP based, and that's how we're going to loop in some special things, NFTs. Because you asked me if I going to create it into an NFT collection. So I'm still working on it. It's not really ready to be released, but I kind of want to make fun of how everyone makes fun of blockchain technology and ICP. It's like, I feel like we're the fat kids that have been eating the glue in the corner, but we're really like the cool kids, and people aren't really recognizing that the potential of what this blockchain does. So the collection is kind of surrounding that, making fun of people that have been doubting what we've been doing, what Dom has been doing, Infinity, the team. And so I don't know if I should give the name of it right now, because I don't want to, people are weird. They steal shit, you know. So do you want me to tell you, or should I keep it a
No, no,
secret?
keep it a secret. That way we have something to look forward to in the future. And for those of you tuning in that have not heard me say this before, I do have one of Candace's pieces that she gave me at Women in Web3 conference in Miami, which is framed. It's hanging in my
Oh,
house in suburban Tokyo, Japan, and it's beautiful. So if you haven't
thank
checked
you.
out Candace's art, make sure you give her a follow, and dig into everything that she's doing. A couple of hands raised. Rob, I want to come back to you. One of the things.
Hello.
Well, we lost William, but that's a great segue for me. Are we bullish on hot or not, guys? Are we bullish on SNS rugging? Is that the new meta for the internet computer?
Uh, you know, I think there's been a lot of hatred towards hot or not, and I know previously like they've done like a lot of cycle burn because they preload their canisters. So I'll give them recognition there, but I think that yeah,
Well, that
tougher.
app was always garbage. Let's be so real. Like we need to be promoting, actually good projects that are building on this ecosystem. Like we need to be out here shilling for people who are actually putting in the work. And let's focus on that as a community and not let people get away with this horse tomfoolery, whatever you want to call it, whimsical term. Basically, like walking away with the ICP that we give them as a community. Let's not do that anymore. Let's
So
focus on
that
making actual viable products.
when I
So I asked so okay, so you sort of forced the conversation over there, so let's just go with that. um Thank you. I did ask Rishi to come on today. He is traveling because I think it was it's important for him to address the concerns and the complaints of the community. He's agreed to come on sometime in the middle of this month. We'll work it out. Love to have you or other people on that have an issue. I have not invested in any projects in the SNS. I'm playing it safe. I hold ICP. That's it. I'd like to delve into that a little bit more too. I'd like to delve into meme coins, but the issue is that there is no liquidity, right? On for the hot or
Well,
not.
I think the issue goes way deeper than liquidity. Like
Well,
let's talk
yeah.
about liquidity of users. I mean, is anyone using that site? Remember when Scott Summers tried to come at me for saying that site was terrible a few months ago, last year? Like, bro, nobody was using that. Like, we need to be actively supporting projects that have viable use cases, and that was just not a viable use case. Here's what I think. That's what I think.
So why would you say it's not a viable use case? So, let's go up to the very high level, right? They're want to build the disruptor of TikTok, right? Now, there's a lot of baggage that comes with that, especially they're attaching almost a betting or futures market with that, right? Which could create obviously several regulatory issues. But what do you see as the major issues with hot or not?
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at just the base product, right?
Yep.
Being someone who got their start on TikTok, I can tell you that the sauce behind TikTok is the algorithm. And also, the fact of the matter is, TikTok is a vastly, wildly unprofitable business. Most crypto projects are not profitable, but probably by design, but that's another conversation. So they're tackling like basically a giant conglomerate of an unprofitable user base with the best algorithm in the world. So even assuming that the algorithm is there, like how do you start a new social media platform and get people there? I mean, it's almost impossible. TikTok was able to do it because they basically Douyin in China was super popular, and they had a lot of funding and VC capital and this and that. You can't fake a user base. Like the thing with Hot or Not is like the content on the app, right? Was let's put the betting feature aside because I think that's an interesting mechanic. Certain types of content perhaps might do better than others, but like the way they were going about it, like bro, all the content on that app was like reposted like Eastern European like OnlyFans models by people who were farming the tokens, so people would upvote if the chick was hot, or it was reposted TikToks with the watermark. Like they were not actively going and getting creators to make native user generated content. It was all repurposed content from other platforms that was then speculated on. Like if you want to actually acquire users for a social media platform, you have to incentivize creators. And what does that mean? That means getting them on the platform, cutting them deals. Look at Facebook's. Remember when Ninja was being paid to go stream on Meta? What was that called? They wasted a whole bunch of money trying to get streamers to go do that crap, and they still lost because the user base was on Twitch. Like these giant monoliths they can be like unprofitable way longer than a lot of these startups can stay solvent, and that's a huge problem.
They should hire you as a consultant, blockchain boy. I
Yeah,
mean,
no shit. I could help
you
them. I could really help them, but they
you
just piss
could
me off.
yeah. I mean, you're a guy, and I'm going to say this. I think it's right. You've made over $1 million on TikTok, not directly, but just being able to monetize that user base, right? So you're a guy that knows his way around TikTok and knows his way around this area of social media. So, yeah, I think it would be, let's. I'm sad that Rishi couldn't come on because there's things that need to be discussed in somewhat of a drama free environment. There are just stuff I've heard that's disappointing, but yeah, I want to hear from Rishi. I do like Rishi. I consider him a friend, but the whole we're gonna go get the token listed on a centralized exchange and skipping over taking care of their user base, taking care of you mentioned incentivization, right? Whether it's airdrops or whatever, like it's almost like skipping like doing A and B, and then there's CDE, and we're going to skip all the way to Z right now.
Well,
Um,
it's the base problem that all these crypto companies have. It's like you're not really designing a product that's going to succeed. What you're doing is grifting hard enough to get a bunch of people to invest and speculate on it, so you can go walk away with a couple million ICP or whatever other token it is based off of the layer one that they're doing. Like people are not actually building these products to be successful. They're convincing the VCs and the people behind supporting them. Like they got a lot of support from Definity. Like I've heard people at Definity say that they think Hodderknot could be $1 billion app, and that's when I knew I was bearish. I was like, you guys have no idea what's going on, and these people are robbing you blind. And it's unfortunate because we could be actually funding projects that are doing real shit, and that's exactly why I think like ICP needs projects building on it that are doing real shit. Because if all these eyes are on the internet computer and they come and they see Hodderknot, and that's the big project everyone's talking about. This chain is not going to go anywhere. We need people who are building cool shit, infrastructure, decentralized, gaming stuff, NFTs, metaverse. We need people with passion, with real products who are really going to push this and utilize the power of the IC. The internet computer is the best fundamental technology I have seen in 7 years of being in this space, and it is wildly underutilized by not only the people who are funding it, but the projects that are building on it. Like, do something special that only the internet computer can do, and watch the people flock in.
yeah, point taken in gaming. I mean, we're really, really lacking in the gaming space. I know Swap, you're doing work along the lines of trying to get some traction and get different gaming communities in. Blockchain Boy, I know that you've also been working on that angle, but it's taken longer than we'd like. But we definitely need some killer titles starting to build on ICP. Swap, the work that you're doing with Goated Gamer.
Yeah. So yeah, with Goated, we're allowing like AAA games to be able to use blockchain tech. So like tournaments, leagues, all that would be able to be ran on the platform that we're creating. But for now, it's more so attracting like the gaming community to come here because there's been games that have been building over the last 2 years, like Inside Dark Studios, Battle for Zion. There's some other games and stuff in the ecosystem, but we don't really have anything more than just like kind of like the arcade games that you could play right now, like IC Pinball and stuff like that. So we need like these bigger shooters and stuff to kind of come in and pave the way.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I was trying to broker a deal between DeFi Kingdoms and Definity, and Definity was like, no, because that's too expensive. And that was like a huge fumble in my opinion, because low key, Jewel is going to send to $1 billion market cap if they keep at the rate they're doing in 2025. Like they have the community for it. They have the stuff that's plugged into it. Really, we just need one big project to move to ICP or to start building on ICP, and the rest will follow. The dominoes are all lined up. The ecosystem is primed. There is more liquidity now than there has ever been in the ICP ecosystem. And all it takes is one big project coming over here. And so, like, look, I'm friends with all the guys at the launch pads, games. I work with GameStarter, DAOmaker, Pools, like all these, projects that are launching. And I'm been trying to pitch the internet computer, but it's such a hard sell because it's like the community doesn't, I don't know. It's like we're missing a piece of something somehow.
But every layer one out there wants to be a launch pad, right? So you mentioned Maker. You have I have a lot of experience with what's going on DSO. You have what's going on IC. Like everyone wants to be the launch pad. But what's happening with the SNS as far as what do we need to improve? Is it governance? Is it transparency? Is it liquidity? Like uh, to answer to take your question farther, like what are some of the things that we could be doing better?
Go ahead, Lucas.
Nah, you got it, man. I've been dominating the space a little too much. I just pulled up in here.
No, you're good. For the SNS, like we've had some kind of like orchestrated cyber attacks, essentially, like teams getting too much voting power, which, you know, people that didn't really pay attention allowed for these SNSs to get drained, such as like BoomDAO or ICX. So like we need to be, you know, really diving into these white papers more before teams launch, so that you don't have to face the repercussions of the people that just blindly followed. Like they're like, oh, I like this team, blah blah blah, they did this, and all of a sudden they just drained $4 million from the ecosystem, and then they don't know. They're like, you gotta speculate that these teams are going to return and continue building. Like, are they still here? Maybe you see a tweet once in a while, but you know, if that's all you expect for getting $4 million, then sign me up. Like, come on, like it's crazy. So go ahead.
I think there are two things that I would do right now if I could wave a magic wand, which is number one, can we stop supporting SNS sales just because they are SNSing? Because I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to start naming names, but there's a lot of projects on here that do not have a profitable a roadmap to profitability, that do not have real adoption, that we are supporting SNS sales for, that we should not be supporting them. Like, we shouldn't be just SNSing to SNS and give the founders exit liquidity because they built a shit product. I'm sorry. That's dumb. Okay, let's spend the money on projects that are actually doing it. We need to be going and raiding and harassing builders and founders and be like, you got to build on ICP. This is the community that you can engage with. Look at us. We're showing up. We're supporting. Here's the liquidity. We're going to fund you, and we're going to push it. We're going to push the token and shill under every goddamn tweet. You know what's crazy? I'm going to be 100% real, dude. The Hexicans are the most active community in Web3 that I've ever seen, like, for the amount of people that are in that space. We could learn a thing or two. They took that coin to $80 billion market cap, and it basically, let's be honest, did nothing. Basically did nothing except, like, sit there. And that's insane. The amount of potential that we have is far beyond.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate a big chunk of the Hex community. They're problematic, but you know, I mean, point well taken on, you know, sort of using some of their what they've done as a template for how we could get further along than we are. Well, you mentioned, okay, SNS, people are SNSing to SNS, right? And that's my concern. You know, we have some of the friends of ours, good friend of ours, Bitcoin Renegade. I know he's an active investor in a lot of the projects that are on the SNS, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm making money, I'm minting money, I'm minting. But my concern is, I just don't have the time to do the due diligence maybe that I should be, to, you know, review these projects, to read the white papers, to invest. So I'm just my ICP goes to ICP. Like, I'm not, you know, investing in any of these projects right now, not yet. Is there anything swap that you're in right now?
I mean, I mean, this is, you know, I guess my personal, like, view this personally, like investing on speculative assets because I see getting more action. But like Ghost is one because it's the first meme coin. I like OGY because they're, you know, Origin Foundation's one of the legit products that has been, you know, established in the IC with, you know, on-chain certificates. But as far as like where like a good resource to go for people that maybe don't have the time, Will, like as you mentioned, accumulating.icp is a well-known contributor to the ecosystem, and he does post like his own like really good solid like due diligence on these projects. And I know a lot of people have kind of gravitated towards that, and he leads a Neuron as well. So I would say, you know, check out accumulating. So
I have 2 points to make, and then I have to run because I got to go meet one of my devs for dinner. The first point is that the whole scheme of the SNS and what even neurons are and NNS and dude, the internet computer is too smart for its own good. No retail investor is going to understand any of this. We need to simplify the messaging and bang on the drums. As a community, we need to look. We're all in group chats. We need to agree on simplified messaging, and honestly, If I was Definity, I would rename half of the stuff they put out because it's too smart. Definity are geniuses, but that's the problem. They're smart to a fault, and nothing is approachable for retail. Solana is approachable for retail because it's like idiot proof. It's idiot proof, and we need to be idiot proof, or at least make an attempt. And the second thing is, regarding the SNS going wild and just aping into SNS sales, I think people are just looking at the cosigns by the people who are leading this ecosystem from a higher level and just trusting that, when in reality, again, it's like no one's actually doing the due diligence and checking to make sure that these are projects worth SNSing. And so those are the two big points I'd like to make before I take my exit.
No, I appreciate it. And for those listening, I have nothing against projects that are in the SNS. You mentioned Origin. I'm a huge fan of that project. There are a lot of projects in SNS where, I know the management team. I know the pedigree of the people that are running these. I know the founders. So, I'm not trying to fight anybody, but, the point is well taken, is that, we've seen a lot of abuse. I'm staying clear for right now until, I understand the Definity ecosystem more as a whole, right? Which I'm learning every day. Like, okay, Swap, you just gave me some alpha there with accumulating ICP. I didn't even know that was a resource, right? So like every day I'm uncovering new things, and I'm realizing, how just capacious this system is. So, I'm not trying to fight anybody, but we definitely have some issues with hot or not. Let's regroup, let's reconvene when we have Rishi on, because I have a lot of questions for Rishi that would we need to dive into a little bit of a lower level. And you can talk about the functionality aspect, what the product actually does. I'm interested in what we can learn from the tokenomics of this whole thing, but maybe we can approach it from different angles. But thanks for coming on, Lucas, man.
I've got to come up here and spit some game. Look, at the end of the day, people have their entire lives invested in the ICP ecosystem at the end of the day, even though that's a terrible idea to be overinvested in one thing. And we got to we got to push things in the right direction, because, I want to see everyone here win. I want to see everyone in this Twitter space win. And I know we can. We just have to, someone's got to do it,
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Anyways, I'm hopping off, but I'm looking forward to seeing you here in a little bit on Friday. About to be posting up in the crib with me, William Laurent.
I'm gonna be my schedule's in flux. I'm trying to get to Zurich on the way back to Japan. It might be a little bit later, but I'll be in Orlando. I'll roll up for sure.
Well, we have a foldable bed with your name on it in the middle of my living room.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait. Thanks, man.
All right, love you guys. Let's go make some money. Peace.
Let's print.
Yeah, I just want to add something. Hi, everyone.
Iana, hi.
Hi.
What time is
How's it going?
It's like early
it's
in the morning.
pretty early. Yeah. Well, I get up very early anyway.
Like 5 a.m. early.
No. It's 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say, I saw you have a space, so I just wanted to stop by and say hi, everyone. And some food for thought is, every project needs token? I don't think so. So I think when projects actually creating these tokens, some of them are trying to monetize, and but sometimes they don't really need the token for the projects. So when I'm advising my startups who are building an ICP, I'm actually telling them that launching this token is not a really good idea. A pump and dump, there are plenty of pump and dumps already, and regulations will be coming, and regulations will look into that. So all these projects that were KYC and just didn't do the diligent and didn't build anything, they will be subject probably to some regulations and maybe some other issues. So when you're building a project, my advice would look into different type of monetization, like subscription base, using already existing token as a payment, even using fiat currency as a payment for the dApps gives another layer of, I know we're trying to get rid of that, but to bring regular majority people on board, they need to start using Web3 and regular financial assets, right? So I think there's no need for many projects to launch their tokens.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's sort of this, almost it's like a mental illness, right? That every project thinks they need their own token, right? It's and why not, right? It's potentially easy liquidity, but the problem is that most projects really don't have sound tokenomics, and they don't really understand tokenomics. And the more I delve into crypto, and the more I delve into proof of stake and how consensus works, and how all this works, it is extremely complicated. And I realize I know like 5% of what I need to know, right? Of like how the founders come in and they decide what the liquidity pool is going to look like, what the tokenomics are going to look like. I mean, it is amazingly, amazingly complicated. And let me ask you, Swap, is there a resource that you know of that I can learn about these, like from a dummy's perspective, right? I did work on Wall Street for years in derivatives, so I'm not that dumb. But, for people that are new coming into crypto, like, where would they learn, like, okay, what is liquidity provider oil, what are these things, why is this important? Is there a resource that you have that you could recommend?
You're talking about just like liquidity, like stuff that they would be useful for like learning how to trade, or are you talking about like the coin specifically?
Not trading, just like what makes tokenomics good, what makes tokenomics bad, what is some of the issues with tokenomics. There was it's too bad Lucas isn't on anymore. There's a project that he's been shilling called Sync, which I was going to give him a hard time. And it looks like a Ponzi to me, right? But they're like, oh, no, we improved on, what was it, Omega, right? Because they had bad tokenomics, and like they did this, they did that. And, there's so much to learn. There's a million ways to do the tokenomics of a project wrong, and maybe two or three ways to do it right, with maybe some room for innovation in there. But if I'm going to invest in a project, any project on ICP, on the SNS, and Ethereum, wherever, like, I need to understand like what makes tokenomics good. And it's not easy, but first of all, I got to understand the basic concepts. Now, I have a pretty good grasp at this point, but what about noobs? Like, where can they go? Like, is there a Udemy course? Is there somewhere where they can like go to learn these things?
I mean, I wish there was like a Investopedia like for crypto. I'm not sure if there is specifically, but maybe someone could, put something like that together. I do think we need to see a lot more auditors in the space, because that's really going to help kind of let people know if they're like a honeypot or whatever, if they're just bad liquidity and so on. So you definitely need to check like market cap and what's available in the liquidity pool. That's like really important, because you don't want something that has like 0.01% like liquidity. It's just not going to do well. So that's an important area for people to kind of look into. I don't have a great resource offhand for that, but that's something I could look into. But yeah.
Hey, I just want to add about this resource. I will be having a webinar, and I will be inviting a professional economics person. One consultation is about like $1,000 for projects usually. So I will be doing this for Synergy Labs. And I will be sharing that, of course, everywhere. So I think it will be available for everyone to come join. Not sure format will be like a YouTube video or maybe Zoom meeting for webinar type. But yeah, the tokenomics is a huge for newcomers to the space to understand what's happening. And I think we need to have a professional to teach us about economics.
100%. If you could share that information when it comes out, that would be extremely useful for the ICP community, for all communities, really. And the problem that I have, and I think a lot of people have, is that like we understand some of the basic concepts. Obviously, if in the case of hot or not, if there's only hot or not tokens and no ICP in the liquidity pool, everyone's pretty much stuck, right? There's no way that they can unload their positions, right? And everything's broken, price discovery. But like if I'm a founder, how do the founders set that up? How do the founders say, okay, like I have 100 of these tokens, and I'm going to need and have 100 ICP tokens, and like like I know that there is a lot that's done with like AMN, automated market makers, et cetera, et cetera. But like that initial setup, is that something, Iana, that we'll be able to learn?
I'm not sure what he's going to teach us, but I know when you're setting up your pool, you have to provide two types of liquidity, your token and USDT as well.
Right.
So in this instance, it would be probably ACP. But to make a pool, you need to provide 50% of a pool of your token and the same amount of USDT. I'm not sure why it's happened like that, because it's not a pool, obviously. Maybe they're planning to do it. So
Right. And
there
that,
will be questions for them, who
yeah.
knows? But usually when you launch in a pool, it has to be like if you're using another launchpad and trying to create a pool, you have to provide for that launchpad liquidity. You
Right. And
cannot launch your pool.
yeah. And as you mentioned, it needs to be 50-50, and it's always recalibrated. And that's where you have this concept of impermanent loss, which is why I won't be a liquidity provider, because most of the people I know that have done it have wound up
Right.
losing more than if they just like held the tokens like independently, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I had a conversation with a person who was doing some DEXs, he said that even though the person who always provides a liquidity for the pool, the person is going to always lose. There's no winning situation. Almost never.
Well, I mean, right. It depends, right? Just depends how the market moves. Depends, what kind of percent they're getting, on the transaction. So, but in my experience and the experience of other people that I know in Web3 is that more often than not, they've lost. And you see these gaudy numbers is like, wow, I'll put this token in and I'll put equal parts of Ethereum in, and look at all the money I'm going to, make to have these tokens locked up for the next year. And it's like, damn, I should just held the Ethereum, right?
Yeah, if I can jump in real quick. What's up, William? What's up, the
Absolutely.
swap? So it's pretty complicated when it comes to providing liquidity. Like I know when we set our pull up, it was right after our LBP. And basically, to achieve price parity, you have to kind of put like a specific weighting of tokens. And then if you over collateralize it, it could possibly bring the price further down than what people participated in the sell with. So it's a very it's a very complex system, especially for a newcomer coming in. I would have to disagree with impermanent loss always kind of being an issue. I guess it really depends on what you want on the outcome of your trade. If you want more of the token, like the base token as ICP, then obviously, if more people are investing in ICP, trades, then you're basically farming ICP. As a project founder, you're basically creating a pipeline of revenue if your pool sees lots of volume. So I guess in the end, they're probably not wanting their token because they probably have a good amount of that. They're probably just farming. They're farming the token like ICP, CKBTC, stable coins, so that way they can get some passive income. So that's how I understand it, at least.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is definitely very complex, Slay, and I know we both kind of had our fair share of like frustration with providing liquidity. So I definitely want to see that kind of get addressed more in the ecosystem, because obviously, like, we need to find ways to make it, I guess, easily understandable for those that do wish to get in. It's just not um, something that many people want to do because of the risk at times. But hopefully, there's some good providers in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. It's a rough game because, like you said, we've been kind of talking about this and kind of complaining about it. Just because, when you're an organic project, that didn't do like a huge like VC round or an SNS, like it's completely community driven. You really do rely upon, the individuals that support your project to fund these pools, because the idea of decentralization is one person should not control a single pool, because then, there's a lot of third-party risk involved. So you definitely want to have, you know, a lot of diversification within that pool. You know, you don't want to have one person owning pretty much everything. And I think that's what we've experienced with, you know, the voting and the early ICP game. The voting power was kind of tilted a lot towards the foundation and some, you know, bigger groups and stuff like that. And I think that, like with liquidity pools, you kind of run into the same thing. If the team owns the majority of the pool, then they could probably dump on you pretty easily. So it's kind of it's a rough game, you know. There's a lot of risks when it comes to investing, not only in the token but also in these like liquidity pools and NFTs. But I think coming from like Solana and Ethereum, you know, we definitely need to solve the liquidity issue first. I've been talking to Kyle about this probably for months now. I think liquidity is king, and that sparks DeFi infrastructure and ecosystems. So we really need to see an influx of liquidity, because historically, anytime ICP has gotten a pretty insane bump in liquidity, it usually flows back into other projects and also our NFTs. And I think that's really what I want to see next, is kind of a resurgence there.
Yeah, and like to touch on, Slay and I have been chatting about this for a long time, and one of our things like with the swap in general is like we're not ever going to be in a rush to launch like a token. Like that's not our path forward. Like with being news and multimedia in general, like it's going to be too volatile, because like if we have one news piece that I guess isn't a fan of everyone, that'd be very detrimental to our users. So like our core focus is building out our community and our infrastructure, so that it would not lessen, like we would be much better prepared, so that we, when we do finally launch a token, whether that's 5-10 years from now, like it's much safer for people. Like it's just too volatile in this ecosystem right now for us, and we're more likely to adopt a different coin of like a project that we deem to be much bigger, that could sustain like a really big ecosystem that would be suitable for our users to kind of use, and with payments that we do. So I think a lot of like projects should probably look to kind of go that route, because like if you're just like an NFT or whatever, like you don't need to have just a token. But like if you're doing something that's like you truly believe in, and if you can get VCs or whatever to kind of support you, they will help you with tokenomics. They will, help you, get prepared, because there's going to be some sort of contract involved with you to where they're going to want to make sure that everything goes right. So definitely know where you're standing, like for a project, because you don't want to rush into a token sale if you don't really have like a strong organic community, or you just think big money is going to show up. Like you need to really have all the the dots and T's crossed.
Yeah, I wish there was again, it goes back to a resource, but just like best practices for tokenomics, because there are, certain things that are fundamental, that need to be checked off. But some of the projects that I've been delving into lately, it's just so damn complicated. There's a tax on certain transactions, and then reflections, and then it just goes on, and you wonder at some point, like if they've actually thought down, because you need a mathematical model. Like, they actually really thought this out. A lot of times, they haven't, and it winds up crashing and burning. So, yeah, well, I look forward to 6 months from now, when I have a little bit more knowledge under my belt on DeFi, to be able to speak more intelligently about this. But I wanted to, Rob, you had your hand up. Sorry, we got on this tangent here on tokenomics, which is fascinating, and always good to always good for going down a rabbit hole. Did you have a question? Or I know we were talking about art, we were talking about Candace's for the let me just do a quick reset here. Candace was on the show talking about her experience, or good fortune of being accepted into the Walmart fold. So she's going to be selling her art through Walmart. There is an ICP tie-in as well. Super, super exciting. Rob, I saw you had your hand up. I don't know if you had anything to add. No?
I did pin up the links that he asked me to share from Candace's
Cool.
work. So that was, I believe, I can't check right now, but her collection on Yumi, which I believe was what we were chatting about earlier. And then we also have the link to the Walmart Heirloom Wild, if I'm saying that right. Sorry, I'm kind of just browsing on mobile. But yeah, Heirloom Wild is pinned up to the top. It's like the first 3 pins in the Jumbotron, if you guys want to check those out there. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that Technologic wanted to jump on.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Swap. Yeah, we have talked about tokenomics. We've talked about Candace's art. We've talked about a few other small things. I wanted to go back to ICP, do a little speculation, go back to the ICP price. And also, if there's any other cryptos that have been on your radar or anything interesting that's happened this week, any alpha that you want to drop, that would be good. My week has been a little bit outside of ICP. It's been a little bit scattered. I was one of the investors in Telcoin. The ticker on that is TEL. There was a major hack. That thing has been getting hammered, and that just got completely clobbered. So at this point, I don't know if Telcoin is ever going to recover. If they do, it's going to take a hell of a long time. But those of you that tuned in last week know that I've been very bullish on DeSo. DeSo continues to do an amazing rally. A new product is coming out on the 11th from DeSo called Focus, and that's a decentralized social media app that is sort of going to be like the BitClout 2.0. Definitely something to watch. I expect DeSo to have a really nice run up after that. We'll see. Solana of also I'm being for the short term been very bullish on. Anything on your radar, Swap?
Yeah, a couple things actually. So I have started to explore DeSo, especially since that space that we held the other week. So for those that want to go back and check that, it's on William's timeline. But yeah, DeSo, I started checking out the Diamond app, which is really cool. They have something called Creator Coins, which we actually talked about and touched on in the space. So you guys should look back at that space that we held to get more info there. Other projects and stuff that I like. Personally, I am in Solana a little bit. It's not a lot, but I'm more so like in like the Bitcoin ordinal space and BRC20s. Become a pretty big fan of that. Obviously, because like we can kind of use these on IC with bridging with chain key and so on. So looking forward to when Bitfinity launches. That way we could start to see a lot more liquidity come in from the Ethereum side. So definitely keep your eyes out there. This week, I actually have Daniel flying in from New York. So Daniel is our CTO, and I pinned at the top his asset app, which is going through a rebrand right now, but it's super powerful for end users on the IC. So you'll be able to create your own canister and manage it, so that you can store videos, photos, you name it. Like we've had people do PDF files and all this sorts of stuff, to store on chain. Like super simple. And he's doing so many different features and stuff right now. Like he's been literally like going crazy with this, because like this is tooling that we're gonna have to use for the swap. Like there's just videos and stuff that we'll upload into like a carousel and stuff on our news app, and it's going to be so important for people to use it. Like, and we've seen Technologic use this before, XV also in the crowd here. So just it's really resourceful for people. Like, can't stress it enough. We've stored our space with Dominic Williams up on ICP, and just like a bunch of different gaming clips and stuff that we're testing out for Go to Gamer. So I'm super like happy to see Daniel go from creating that project. I was literally with him in person when he started that, and now he's going to be back here in Wisconsin with me for a couple of weeks, and we'll be with some other teams that we're working with as well, and potentially sharing some more content and stuff to you all. So
Yeah, and Dom shouted out that a couple months ago, Daniel's work. That was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and like, so what's really cool too is, IC's had like this chatter about vet keys and the encryption and stuff. So Daniel's, focus is getting encryption into that, and just the possibilities that people are going to be able to do. Like, you can already top up cycles in it, and I almost said the name, so I can't say the rebrand yet, but he used to call it Asset App. It'll be called something else. Don't let me spill that because I'll get in trouble. But yeah, there's just a lot of things that you'll be able to kind of share and stuff in there. And then super, 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 super bullish on Upstreet and everything that they're doing. That is a metaverse that we're building in, kind of helping out there. They were previously given a Definity developer grant back in December. The CEO, Moon, kind of suggested that there's going to be a token launch potentially in 2024. So I would keep my eyes there. And this is like a team that literally like works with many metaverses, and they have their hand in the Metaverse Standards Forum. Jin, whose handle is DankVR, DANK is like the wizard when it comes to avatars. So we use a lot of like VRMs. We have a VRM in development for ourselves at the swap, and I would just look into like what that team's doing, because these guys are coding nonstop. Like, I think AV Air, like the main dev behind it, has like 13,000 commits last year, and if you guys know how much that is for deploying updates on GitHub, that's quite insane. Because most devs, like, it's like an accomplishment to get like 5,000. This guy is literally a wizard, and I'm really excited for everything that they have coming out here soon. There should be a couple announcements, probably in January, February. So stay tuned there.
You make me want to be a dev. I'm ready to go and sign up for a Motoko boot camp, man. Seriously, devs are going to be the heroes. Well, they already are of all blockchains, but you're going to devs are going to be like rock stars, Web3 devs, full stack engineers in the next couple of years. And knowing what I know right now about the solution stack for ICP is that there's a lot less barrier to entry to learn Motoko and really get started on building stuff on chain. So I haven't ruled out one day I'm just gonna wake up and be like, screw everything, I'm just gonna go learn Motoko and be a dev. But yeah, back to a couple more cryptos I discovered in my Coinbase and in my MetaMask over the last week. I had completely forgotten about them. And this was before I learned about ICP and got involved in the ICP ecosystem. One was Engine, which I still have a bag of, and that started to go up. And I'm just like, oh well, after learning about ICP, it just does. I can't really be excited about Engine, but I'll dump that if it goes up. The other one was Polygon, which everyone seems to be leaving Cardano to build on Polygon. I'm still not sold. I'm not. I'm not accumulating anymore, but I think Polygon definitely has room to run. I like the team behind Polygon, but it's something that I'm going to not hold on to forever. In fact, I wish it would run up a little bit more. I'd dump that and get more ICP. So, Crypto Girl, you have any crypto recommendations or anything on your radar, or any ICP price predictions?
I don't predict how much token cost, and I cannot recommend any tokens because I think it will be really really bad for everybody needs to do their own research, I guess.
Yeah.
So I am a little tired that people lots of shilling tokens.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that. But I wanted to add some, because Swap was talking about what they're building. It's really cool. And I guess you guys were reading one time I posted a tweet about that I'm building something on ICP. And my MVP is ready. So hopefully it will be more developments done. There is no social media yet for the project, but I'm going to reveal today what is project about. So, and there is no token involved. So I am going to treat this application as a regular business, but building on a blockchain, as we probably should moving forward. So it is going to be called D-Date at this point. It is not only dating app, but it's also networking and connecting people to make a friendship on a blockchain. But the goal is to onboard regular people to the Web3 world without even knowing them that they're using a blockchain. And of course, and the goal is to make sure that it's a safe environment for people, because I notice there are lots of scammers on LinkedIn, and it's really hard to connect and believe. So D-Date is going to have a KYC to prevent the scammers and bad actors in the space. So it should have a good environment for people to connect to for dating purposes or networking purposes, or just to make a friendship. Because, for example, like in Japan, maybe William knows that some people pay money to go with somebody just to have a lunch. At least that's what I heard of.
That's true. That's right.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
So there has to be some social platforms that you're not looking for dating, you're not working for networking, but you're looking for a friend, right? Or people to go to other countries and they move, they're looking for expats, like areas, right? To try to connect. So this will be not only for dating, but also for networking on a professional level and for building a friendship.
No,
This
that's
is
right.
something extremely exciting, and I'm looking to onboard regular people to use that.
That's amazing. I'll be user number one, and I love the idea that it has dating and business networking. Because back in the day, if I got caught with a dating site, I could just say, "Oh well, I'm just using it for business." But yeah, to your point, if you look at Conan O'Brien, the comedian, took a trip to Japan, and he had a whole 2 or 3 segments on the family that he had actually rented, and you can rent families, or you can rent a dad or a daughter or whatever just to go around with you and pretend. So yeah, I think Japan would be a great market for that. And also, Crypto Girl, apologies, I get excited about crypto. I'm on other spaces where people are shilling stuff and talking about all these wild prices, so I forget that not all of my guests are at liberty to engage in that sort of thing. And your position at in the ICP hub that you run, obviously you can't do that. So again, oversight on my part, but I appreciate you coming up, and I can't wait to be a beta user for when you go live. Reptile, what's up?
Hey, how you going, William?
Hey, man.
Man, just wanted to say congrats to everybody, and man, what an end of the year for ICP. No shit. I usually don't shill anything because you get jaded eventually. That's what happened to me. I'm like, what am I doing? You kind of think, what's crypto all about? Is everything just a scam? And right at the right time, again, listening to the right people. I'm looking at seeing Six Figs down there, guys like Banfield and others. And then you actually use this, and you're like, this is next level. This thing, nobody's ever done this from what I can see. And it's just a matter of time for me. And I'm not the smart dude who can read charts and do all that. But if you can find the right project and really understand the long-term potential, like when you look at Bitcoin or Ethereum, I'm like, man, I miss those two. Where's the next one? And this definitely, for me, man, this ticks all the boxes. I treat every single one of these ICP like it's just one Ethereum. And I really reckon we'll get there. But blockchain boys, right? It's got to be idiot-proof. Dudes want to lose their money. ICP's created the ultimate degen playground, which is just one bit of what it can do. It can do everything. It's putting everything on blockchain. It's absolutely next level. The potential for this, it could go all the freaking way. Seriously. So again, congrats to everybody. And this bull run, William, I reckon we don't even know yet. We're thinking last bull run. What could this actually do, this bull run, if people figure out, if all the huge investors and industries get into it? We don't know how high this could go. No joke.
Right, and governments too, right? ICP and Infinity Foundation is doing a lot of work right now with different governments, and you see what they've done with federal Italy. You see what they're doing in Dubai with the government there. You see what they're doing with carbon credits. So yeah, it's only a matter of time, right? It's like almost a 3-pronged attack, right? So you have institutional money, you have retail money, and then you have the government. So it's just a matter of time before shit pops off.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, William, what do you reckon about staking? Do you have a plan, or do you want to talk about what you do with your ICP staking? Do you break it up?
Yeah, break it up. So we talked about that last week. I think Swap talked about his methodology too, but mine really is I have liquid ICP that I have liquid, right? And I keep that either in my wallet on Coinbase, if I want to sell it, or I keep it in the in my wallet on ICP. But I have three neurons, and one neuron is 4 years, one I think is 3 years, and the other one was 8. It's 7 now. So I do have it staggered a little bit more. I'm probably going to put some of that ICP that's liquid in a 1 year neuron, maybe a 2 year neuron. Now that I see the price going up, and I'm a little bit more confident that this rally is going to go on. I think this is a multi-year rally here. This is not just 6 months. This is something that's going to go on, at least with ICP, I think, potentially for 2 years or more. So yeah, good question. Always stagger it out though. Always keep a little bit liquid, because you never know when you're going to need it, if you're going to need it.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. Break it up. But yeah, imagine that if all goes to plan, it's a baby. This whole market, trillions could be coming in. And ICP, mate, they know all the right people. They're doing all the right things. These guys, they've figured it out. The best team ever. You go use it. It's just next level. But that's what they want. They want degen playground. William, people want to lose their money. That's what they need to do.
That's true. Well, look, we can't all be $45 billion market cap, whatever. Like, when you see the projections for all these coins, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, there's just not enough money in the world to come into all those. So but you got to look at the blue chips, man. ICP is a blue chip, and that's where the money's going to go, and that's what's going to last. A lot of these other coins, Shiba, that shit's probably going to go to zero. It's just like, everything can't go up. Yeah, we're going to see trillions come in, but not everyone is going to achieve market cap anywhere close to what some people are projecting now. The interesting thing, when we do look at market cap, if you look at ICP, it's, what is it now? Is it 6 billion? I forget. It changes so quickly, and Solana's like 45. So if ICP, which is much better tech, could catch Solana, I mean, the ICP price would be what? Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? So we'll get there. I'm hoping. Boxy, what do you got?
Since we're dropping some alpha, I don't even know how I put my hand down. There we go. Since we're dropping some alpha, whenever I have some extra ICP, I do like one of three things. I go and buy some goats, go to Gamer DAO. I also try to get some. I'm really excited about Mora. I'm really excited about the inscriptions that are coming to ICP, because me and Kyle have been pretty deep on Bitcoin and Solana. I've been seeing kind of a trend on multiple blockchains where they're moving into the inscription world and kind of copying the BRC20 framework, I guess. And we're still kind of seeing teams put together some new inscription standards. I think NFT Anvil, or if they just go by Anvil now, they've actually put together a pretty extensive GitHub that I just got access to, so I'm going to take a look at that. But I'm really bullish on inscriptions. I do think that once we get proper indexing, I think that's also included in the Anvil standard. I think we're really going to start to see a lot of people from Bitcoin navigate their way here, because we're already starting to see a lot of the infrastructure being laid for that with Bionic. We have a collection on there as well. So we're kind of, as a project, really trying to position ourselves to where is the main liquidity going to come from? What's the main catalyst in this next bull cycle? And I personally think that it's going to be inscriptions, because we're starting to see some pretty huge sales happen on Bitcoin right now, with, the number 2 inscription selling for like 10 Bitcoin, which is insane. So it's like you finally have a use case for Bitcoin outside of, sending money to other people and buying pizza. You actually have the ability to do DeFi now and speculate on JPEGs. But what a lot of projects are starting to do, that's really, really awesome, is they inscribe on, rare sats. So you have a rare sats market where people are literally buying a single Satoshi from like 2013 or, whenever Bitcoin started, and they're selling for like hundreds of dollars. So like literally individual sats are selling for insane amounts. Like I think a rare sat sold for like a couple $100,000 a couple weeks ago. So
There was a rare sat that sold. I think it was for like a couple 100,000.
yeah,
If I'm not mistaken, it was like four something Bitcoin, or maybe even six. I think on the high end.
yeah, it's crazy. It's just like whenever we were looking at like CryptoPunks, the crypto rocks or whatever the hell they were called, from like last cycle, it really reminds me a lot of what Ethereum did whenever they started to have these like crazy price moves in their NFT market, and then you started to kind of see that replicated on pretty much every blockchain, and now everyone's copying Bitcoin just like they did from the beginning. They're taking elements of Bitcoin's protocols, BRC20s, and the copycats, and you also have like the collections like Bitcoin frogs starting to show up on Doginals. So it's crazy, like typically the first mover, in this case, whenever the narrative changes, is going to be the winner. And I think that what we're going to start to see is, Bitcoin's going to start getting out of reach, like their internal ecosystem, and the money's going to start to flow elsewhere. And if your chain has the infrastructure to integrate with those inscriptions and make them cheaper, which we do, I do think that that's going to start to gain more adoption. The Honey Badger group has been super bullish on ICP, and they're one of the OG Bitcoin ordinals communities. So to see them kind of aping into ICP and getting as bullish as we were when we first started, using ICP, I do think that we're going to see some crazy shit here in the next couple months. So I think that's where the money is going to come from, personally.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get as you said, it's crazy, and I'm still trying to get my head around this because, for me, always was like, this goes against the ethos of Bitcoin. Like, why should one sat be rare? Why should one sat be worth more than another, right? Has there been, initially there was a lot of resistance to ordinals, and it seems like most of that is going away.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, the SWAT probably knows a lot more about this because he's been involved with ordinals for a lot longer. But my understanding is it's basically giving miners more revenue because, like on Ethereum, when the fees get fucking crazy, and you're starting to see shit, for like $50 to like $5,000 for a transaction, the miners are making hand over fist whenever those are going through. So, you have like the devs, they're all kind of salty that, they're basically degenerates, on Bitcoin, and they're hating on people. And then you have people like Udi who are upgrading Bitcoin. And if you look into Udi Whitmer, I think his name is, he's pretty badass. Like, he basically put infrastructure in place or inspired people to basically build tooling so that way Bitcoin can be like Ethereum, and you can build tokens on top of it. You can build NFTs on top of it, and I just think that's badass. Like, it has the most liquidity. It's kind of like, your boomer uncle or grandpa that has like 8 vacation homes, and he's super loaded, right? Like, that's Bitcoin. That's where all of the money is in our ecosystem. So if you can find a way to bridge that liquidity instead of chasing, other L1s, you're really going to make some bank. So that's why I'm bullish on ICP kind of leveling up and really integrating, with CK assets, as well as like getting into inscriptions, because I think, the more people from these ecosystems that are into those things will find, somewhere to go play around whenever they get their hands on ICP. So I think that we're becoming more diversified with the different stuff to do, and with tracks. You have musicians coming here. We used to have D Social, which was like the YouTube of ICP, and I think that with gaming starting to kind of take off, I think that everyone's going to have a place. We have Discover, which is multi-chain social media, and I think that once everyone kind of realizes that all this stuff is built on top of ICP, you can't really do that elsewhere. That's where the narrative starts to shift, and then we start to get, hella hype and adoption.
Yeah, great points. And a lot of your talking points, if you listen to Bob Bodley, you're very, I think, aligned your vision with his vision. Like he's talking about a lot of the same thing. Where's liquidity? Where's the future? Where do we need to go? And I think you checked a lot of boxes there. I want to get to Rob, but first, Footprint. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for bringing me up, William. My name's Alex, by the way. I'm the guy behind the Footprint account. I just wanted to drop you guys a little bit of alpha. Now that we got the ICP topic going, we actually made the ICP block explorer at Footprint. So if you guys are curious, it also you can track Neuron staked. You can track proposals, all the transactions. So if you guys are curious about taking a peek at that, you can go to icp.footprint.network. And you guys can track pretty much a lot of data about the ICP
Hell yeah,
network.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we got a grant from ICP, so we got 100,000. Excuse me, sorry, we got $100,000 grant from them to develop this. So we still got a couple more milestones to go. It's in the beta phase, but you guys should definitely check it out. Love to hear some feedback on it as well.
Yeah, can you put that in the jumbotron? I could do it.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
If I do it, I'll do a fat finger and I'll end the space. We'll go to Rob and then we'll start closing it down.
Hey, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, man.
Cool. So this has been an amazing conversation. I've heard quite a few different things brought up. I've just been trying to process all of it. Bear with me. I'm trying to master this new track I'm working on too. So I'm juggling a couple things here. What was the last thing we were talking about? Ordinals and Boxy. What's up, man? You were talking about people using the ecosystem without even knowing they're using it. You also mentioned tracks. I onboarded my mom and my brother onto tracks without them even knowing it. And they're able to support me now and listen to my music, check out my art, stuff they've been, asking me about for ages now, and they can do it. And the successful SNS launch with them is very promising. For me personally, I'm definitely looking forward to that. But yeah, and then circle all the way back to the beginning. We were talking about Candace and her deal with Walmart. Congratulations. There's some links that are posted up there if anybody wants to check out Candace's latest fashion and design elements on heirloomwild.com and also Walmart for those of you in the US here and beyond. There's also a link to her collection of the murals that she painted at the Definity headquarters in Zurich. You can get the collection pieces of Revelation Walls on Human Marketplace. Yeah, just to hype her up a little bit and to continue to hype up this ICP ecosystem, I bought in originally, I think O and G are in originally at $400. Those 5 ICP that I bought at that price are still locked in the NNS today, and they'll stay there.
So you
That's
answered my
all.
question from before that I asked to swap, like what constitutes an OG. That might be it. If you bought it 400, bro, and you still have your neuron locked, you're definitely in the contention for the top tier of OGs.
Yeah, there was a lot of debate running up to this run here that we've had, price versus technology. And I stuck with the technology, and now I'm able to build generational wealth for my family. And I'm cool with that.
Absolutely, and I wanted to thank you, Rob. Hey, you gave us you did a really good room reset there. You just sort of recapped the whole space. So thanks again. I'm going to close this down. I just wanted to thank everybody, Rob. I want to thank you. You're always very supportive. Candace, You're always also very supportive of the ICP community, of myself and the swap, and all of us that are up here on stage as well, with the retweets, with the comments, with the engagement. Always thank you. Crypto Girl, it's great to have you. I love when you come on stage. Footprint, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to check out your app. That I was definitely can use that. Someone's making a weird sound on.
I think
So,
Rob's vaping, bro.
oh,
We can
okay.
hear you vaping, dude.
But Boxy, you gave me like a whole list of things that I need to read up on and study. So part of the reason for having these spaces, I'll let you in on a little secret. It's educational for me because I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I get to learn shit from you. So thanks again, and Swap, thank you so much for continuing to co-host this space with me. It's such a privilege. Thanks again for everybody that tuned in, and hopefully I didn't stumble over my words too much. A lot going on here. It's still the holiday season, a lot of family stuff going on around me, and it's just hard to focus at times. So thanks again. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.